BISP Solutions. I am Preeti, working as Oracle Fusion Functional Consultant. So in our last session we have discussed the basic setups of the AR module in the Oracle Fusion application, and these were the topics that we have covered in the first session of this webinar series. We have discussed order to cash steps, then we discussed what are the roles that are required by the user to perform the tasks which are related to account receivable module. Then we discussed how to create the standard invoice transaction in the application. Then we discussed how to issue the credit memo and debit memo. So in the second session of this webinar series, we will discuss how to create a standard receipt creation. Then we will discuss how to create standard receipt reversal, debit memo receipt reversal, miscellaneous receipt creation. Now I will move to the requirement document, and we are discussing all these 4 tasks as per the client's requirement. Let's move to our requirement document. So the user can manually create receipts in the application and then can apply invoice transaction in the application for day-to-day account receivable options. So for that purpose, we will create the standard receipt in the application where user can manually create the receipts and apply invoice transaction in the application for the day-to-day account receivable options. So in our first session, we have discussed how to create the transaction, and now in our today's session we will create the receipt and then we will apply that transaction to this receipt. So for that we will directly move to our application and we'll see how to create the receipt and how to apply the open invoice transactions to the receipts. First we will create one transaction. For that you have to go to the navigator. Then go to the receivable module and come to the billing workbench area. Here we will create one transaction, and then against this transaction we will create receipt where we will apply the transaction. For creating the transaction you have to go to the task panel. You can see on the screen we have an option that is create transaction. Click on it. Here you have to select the transaction class, and in the transaction source I am taking it as manual. In the transaction type, take it as invoice, and if you have any specific salesperson for this transaction, you can mention the name of that salesperson here. Here you have to give the customer name. Click on search, and here you can search for the customer name. And here you can give the invoice lines, search for the item here. So we are providing the services and that will be measured in the hours. So we have created the transaction that is amounted to rupees 41600. Now click on complete and review. So we have created the transaction and now we can check the balance. Go to actions and then click on view balance details. You can see the balance pending for this transaction is 41600. So we have created the transaction. Now we can click on save and close, and now we will create one receipt and then we will apply this transaction to that receipt. Let's note down the transaction number. Now for creating the receipt, again you have to go to the receivable module, and from there you have to go to the accounts receivable workbench area. Go to task list and you can see the option create receipt. Click on it. Now here it is asking for receipt type, standard or miscellaneous. We will discuss the miscellaneous receipt later in today's session. Right now you have to take the receipt type as standard. Status is new. Here you have to give the business unit. You will be able to see only those business unit names in the list for which this user have access for. And now here you have to give the receipt method. Let's take it as check. Mention the receipt number. And here you have to enter the amount. Say we have received 30,000. This is the remittance bank detail. This is the deposit date, and by default system is taking today's date. Now here you have to mention the customer name. Search for the customer name here. And then click on submit and apply manually. You can see here the unapplied amount is 30,000. We have created the receipt, but we did not apply any open receivable yet. Therefore the unapplied amount is 30,000. Now we have to apply open receivable here. So for that you have to click on this add open receivables. And search for the transactions that have taken place with the customer ABC Consulting. Search for it. So there are two transactions here. So this was the one that we have created now. Select this transaction and then click on add and then click on done. So this is how you have to apply the transaction to the receipt. You can see here the amount due is 11,600. Applied amount is 30,000. Click on history. You can see here the date of the receipt and the status as cleared. and this is the accounting date, and this is the amount, and this is the accounting amount. Now click on activity. Click on save and close. If you want to see this receipt, you have to go to the task list and then you have to click on manage receipts. And you can search for receipt with the customer name here. So this is the receipt that is created by us. Now click on save and close, and let's move back to the manage transaction. For that, go to the navigator and then go to the billing workbench area of receivable module. Then go to the task list and then go to the manage transaction. So we saved the transaction number. Let's copy it from here and let's search it out with the transaction number. So this was the transaction that was created by us for the ABC Consulting. Now when you will go to the action and you can see the balance detail, the receipt that we have created is deducted from the original amount, and this is the remaining balanced amount, which is 11600. So this is how you can create the receipt in the application. Now the next topic for the day is, let's move to the PPT. We will discuss the standard receipt reversal process in the application. This is also we are doing as per the client requirement. Let's move back to the requirement document. Standard receipt reversal. If in case bank returns a receipt amount as unpaid, then that receipt must be reversed by the user in the application. Say if the receipt that we have booked, the check is bounced, then we have to reverse that receipt in the application. So let's move back to the application and there we will see how to reverse the receipt. Again, we will create one transaction. Search for the item here. Click on complete and review, and you can see the balance details here. The pending amount for this transaction is 16,500. Click on save and close. And now we will create receipt and we will reverse that receipt. Go to the accounts receivable workbench area and then go to the task list and create the receipt. So we have to follow the same process that we have discussed in our earlier task. Enter the amount. So we have entered the amount 16,500, which was our transaction amount. This is the remittance bank detail, and here we have to mention the customer name. Then click on submit and apply manually. Go to the application tab and here we have to click on add open receivable. Search with the customer name and this was the transaction against which we have to apply this receipt. Click on add and then click on done. Then click on save and close. Now go to the manage receipt workbench area and now here we will search with the receipt method. This is a receipt that is created by us. Now we will check the remaining balance in the transactions and then we will reverse this receipt. Go to task list and then go to manage transaction and here we will search for transaction that we have created. Let's search it out with the transaction number. Now go to actions and then go to view balance details. Now here you can see the remaining balance is 0. When I will reverse this receipt that we have created for 16,500, you will be able to see the balance pending as 16,500. So first we will create the reversal of that receipt and then we will come back to this page to see the remaining balance. So we have created the transaction, then we have created the receipt. Now I will reverse that receipt. Now for reversing the receipt, you have to go back to the manage receipt page. Let's search it out with the customer name. Click on the receipt number. And in the actions, you can see that you have an option that is reverse, post to ledger, account in draft and view accounting. So when you will click on this reverse option, this receipt will be reversed and it will ask you for the reason of reversal. So first we will click on this reverse option and here it is asking for the date of reversal and then it is asking for category. Let's take it as non-sufficient funds. When this check was bounced, there was non-sufficient funds due to which the reversal took place. At the time, let's give the comment here. So here you can mention the reason for the reversal of the receipt, and in the reason also you can mention the reason. Let's take it as non-sufficient funds. So we have given the reversal date, then reversal category, comment for the reversal. Here you can give the reason and you have to select the reason which was predefined by the Oracle. Then here you can select the accounting date and then in the end you can click on reverse option. So we have created the reversal of this receipt. You can see the reverse option is faded out now. Click on cancel. Again move back to the receipt and here in the history you can see the activities which are related to this receipt. This receipt was created on 20th September and then it is reversed on the same date, and this is the reversal category and this is the reversal reason. So when you want to see the reason or the if you want the activity tracker for this receipt, you can come to this history tab and you can get all the details which are related to the reversal and the clearance of this receipt. Now let's move back to the manage transaction page. go to billing workbench area and then search for the transaction. And now when we will see the balance for this transaction, you will see the receipt is reversed and the remaining balance for this invoice is 16,500. So in this way you can reverse the receipt, and you have to mention the reason and the accounting date for the reversal. Click on save and close here. Let's discuss the next task for today, that is debit memo receipt reversal. So we have created the reversal without the debit memo now, and now whenever you are creating any reversal for any receipt, then you need that application should issue debit memo and should cancel out the original invoice. So how we will do this in the application? Let's move to our application. First let's move to the requirement document. In the event that the bank returns any unpaid receipt amount, then the user is expected to send the debit note to the customer through application. When you have created the transaction, your customer is debited with that amount, and then when you have created the receipt, that customer is credited, and when you have created the reversal, your customer is also again debited with that amount. So in that case, what your client requires is that application should automatically issue the debit note to the customer whenever you will create the reversal in the application. So we will move back to our application and we'll see there how to create the reversal with the creation of the debit memo, and that debit memo should automatically issue by the application to your customer. Let's create one transaction for this purpose. Search for the item here. Complete and review. Go to actions and then we will go to view balance detail. So this is the balance detail for this invoice. Click on done here. Click on save and close. So we have created the transaction. Now against this transaction we will create the receipt. For creating the receipt, go to the accounts receivable workbench area. Go to the task list and then click on create receipt. Give the receipt method here. And by default the remittance bank detail is picked up by the application. Mention the name of the customer for which you are creating the receipt here. Search for the customer name. And this is the transaction that we have created. Click on add and then click on done. Click on save and close. Now let's move back to the manage transaction page here. Search it out with the transaction number. And here we will check for the remaining balance of this transaction. In the actions you have to click on view balance detail and you can see the remaining balance is 0 because we have created the receipt for this transaction. We have created the receipt and then we have applied this transaction invoice to this receipt, and therefore the balance of this transaction is 0. Now we will create the reversal with the debit memo creation for this invoice. Click on save and close. Again we have to move back to the receivable workbench area. Go to manage receipts. For that, go to the task list and you have to click on manage receipts here. Search with the customer name. This was the receipt that we have created. Click on it and then go to the actions and click on reverse. Here you have to give the category. mention the reason in the reason field. Now here you can see that we have one checkbox, that is debit memo reversal. When you will enable this checkbox, what system will do, it will automatically generate the debit memo with the same amount that you are reversing. Let's check this checkbox, and when you will click on this checkbox, you have to give the type of debit memo it is. Let's take it as debit memo interest, and below you have to mention the distribution. Click on reverse here. Then click on save and close. Again, you can search for the history tracker. This is the application, this is the history, cleared, and then this is the activity. And you can see in the actions now reverse option is faded out. Click on save and close. Now let's move back to the page manage transaction, and there you will see that system has automatically generated the debit memo. Go to billing workbench area and then go to the task panel. Go to manage transactions. Let's search it out with the transaction number first. So this was the transaction that was created by us. Now go to the actions and then go to the view balance detail. You can see here that the balance for this invoice is still 0 because there is no change in the original receipt and the original amount of the transaction invoice and the receipts that we have created against this invoice, because system has automatically generated the new debit memo in the application. Click on save and close, and now we will search for the debit memo created by the system automatically. Click on done here. Go to manage transaction, and now we will search it out with the customer name. Click on search here. So here you can see that system has automatically generated this DM reversal because we have selected or we have enabled that checkbox that is for debit memo reversal. This is the transaction number. That means this ABC consultant is debited by the new debit memo, which is of same amount 21060, and the original invoice is reduced by the receipt amount, but against the reversal we have generated the new debit memo, and again the customer is debited with the same amount, that is 21060. You can go to view balance detail, and here you can see the remaining balance, that is 21060. So in this way you can create the receipt, and against the receipt you can create the reversal, and for the reversal you can issue the debit memo with the same amount, and this debit memo will be automatically generated by the application. Click on save and close. Let's discuss the next topic for today is miscellaneous receipt creation. And let's move back to the requirement document. Any non-business transaction receipt must be accounted for by a business user in the application. Say you are receiving any payment which is not related to your business transaction, but it is related to your business somewhere, so you have to record that miscellaneous receipt in the application. For that you have to do some configurations in the application. After that setup only you will be able to record the miscellaneous receipt in the application. So let's move back to our application, and there we will see how to book the miscellaneous receipts in the application. Say you got the refund from the tax authority, so how you will book that refund in your application? For that we have to do some setups in the application, and then you will be able to record those miscellaneous receipts. Let's move back to our application. First you have to create the receivable activity in the application. For creating the receivable activity you have to go to the setup and maintenance. In the setup area select financials, and under the functional area select the receivables module, and you can see on the top we have a task, that is manage receivable activities. Click on it. So we have to create the new managed receivable activity. For that click on add icon, give the name to your receivable activity. Then what kind of activity type it is, you have to select it from this drop down list. Let's take it as miscellaneous cash. In the GL account source we are taking it as account activity GL account. In the tax rate code, if you are taking it as activity, then you have to mention the asset tax rate code, liability tax rate code. So in my case I am taking it as none, and here you have to select the activity GL account. Search for the account here. Let's take it as miscellaneous here. So we have taken the account which is created for the miscellaneous purpose. Now click on OK. Now whenever you will create the miscellaneous cash receipts, it will pick the account from the account that we have mentioned here. System will pick the distribution set from here. Now click on save and close. Now we will try to create one miscellaneous receipt. For that you have to go to the billing workbench area. For that, go to the navigator again. Then go to billing workbench area, then go to the task list, and here click on, we have to go to the account receivable workbench area. Click on account receivable here. Go to the task list and then go to the create receipt option. So in the receipt type, you have to take it as miscellaneous. When you are taking receipt type as standard, you can see here system is asking you for the customer detail. But when you will select the receipt type as miscellaneous, system will not ask you for customer detail, because we have created the receivable activity. And you can see here when you are taking that standard, system is not asking you for receivable activity. But when you will take receipt type as miscellaneous, system will ask you for receivable activity. As I told you, the miscellaneous receipts are not related to our business transactions. They are receiving due to reason which is not related to business transaction. For example, you can take it as a refund that you are getting from the tax authority. It can be treated as a miscellaneous transaction or miscellaneous receipt, and it should be, or it must be, recorded in the books of accounts. So for that purpose we are creating the miscellaneous receipts. Now in the receipt type, we will take it as miscellaneous. And now you can see here the system is asking for receivable activity. Here you have to give the receivable method, mention the receipt number, in the receivable activity. Let's select the receivable activity that we have created. Enter the amount here. Here you can select the receipt date, accounting date, and you can also fill out the other details as per the client's requirement. This is the remittance bank account detail. This is the deposit date of this receipt, and click on save and close. Now go to the manage receipts and search for the receipts, miscellaneous receipt that you have created. This is the receipt which is for miscellaneous purpose that we have created now. So for creating the miscellaneous receipt, first you have to create the receivable activity, where you have to select the distribution set and also which kind of activity it is. You have to mention there, and then while creating the receipt you have to select the receipt type as miscellaneous, and you have to mention the same receipt activity that you have created. you have to use that receivable activity while creating the miscellaneous receipts. So in today's session we have discussed the standard receipt creation, miscellaneous receipt creation, standard receipt reversal, and then we have discussed how to reverse the receipt with the automatic generation of debit memo. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining today's session. Have a good day.